Hi, today I'm going to talk about the same lecha yesterday what we started. It's going to be a little more in depth of the portion that we did yesterday. Abraham was worshipping polytheistic gods, and he developed himself and he identified himself there was only one God, and he changed himself to monotheistic God. And when he realized that, and he got a call from God, lecha, to go forth. So it is unbelievable at the age of 75, and Sarah was at the age of 64, almost getting the social security retirement stage. They were being called by God to go to Canaan. It is, I can't even think about that one. Nowadays, in the modern world, in those days, actually, if you see the callings were given for Moses at the age of 80, for the Caleb at the age of 80, Abraham 75, even Jesus started his ministry at the age of 32. But nowadays, if you see, people at 13 years old, 16 years old got called and they started doing ministries. I mean, I cannot understand all these concepts. So I just leave it to you guys that you can be the judge for that one. And Sarah, being an humble and obedient wife, I got amazed. There is nobody in the world like Sarah. At the age of 64, she was still listening to, you know, Abraham, her husband. I mean, I don't think that any wife in the modern days would listen like Sarah. They would say, come on, gada. You know what? That's what I'm telling. It's unbelievable. Sarah, at the age of 64, she was obeying Abraham and following him. Hats off to Sarah. And I think every man would wish to have a wife like Sarah. I know there will be a lot of counter thoughts from other people. I mean, from you guys. Yeah, we also wanted a husband like Abraham, but But anyway, so they're going to Canaan, but the first the thing that they encounter is a famine. In those days, anything happens in the land, anything happens in the world, anything happens in the city, they all blamed only Hebrew people, Jewish people. Because of the Jewish people, there is famine. Because of these people, there's a plague. The Pharaoh was chasing all the Jewish people because he thought that God was punishing through the Jewish people. So people and cities and the governments or the kings were afraid of Jewish people because they believed God was with them. Tell me in one Christian group that today, if they walk in the city, people are afraid. Oh, the Christian people have come. God is with them. Think about it, folks. Think. One thing. So, and Abraham now, he didn't stay there. Now he is supposed to go to another place where he can, try to, stay there or try to get some benefit from there, and he can come. So that's what he was going there. We saw this story yesterday. When they went there, he was telling to Sarah that she should tell that he was his brother, and which is really how they come to a conclusion that she should be telling them that he was her brother, because Abraham and Sarah were very smart. They went there, the rabbis and sages, they tell in their books, in their Talmud, they tell that they stayed outside the city. They learned their ethics, their morality, their code of conduct, everything. They studied about Egypt. They came to know if there is a brother, there won't be any problem. Probably they will try to get Sarah from her for some time, but if there is a husband, probably they may kill him and then they will take him. So they came to know this one. That's why they came to a plan, and then Abraham thought that he can play with them for some time, bidding the bids and collecting all the money and then just leave the land. That's what his idea. Sarah and they both of them planned, but unfortunately they went and Sarah went and end up in the palace. Think this one, when Sarah entered the Egypt, that itself a big thing, because the Bible says that in Genesis 12, chapter 12 and verse 10 from on, 11, 12, 13, 14, it says that Abraham went to Egypt. How about Sarah? Sarah's name was not mentioned, or anyone else's name was not mentioned. So the Talmud sages, they question these things. Why it is singly mentioned about only Abraham went to Egypt? They should have mentioned Abraham and Sarah went, right? But usually, probably they think that probably, Abraham might have taken her in a box or a container closed with her, not to, show her to these people. But in the customs, they were checking in. They might have asked him what is inside. Probably they might have asked him what is inside. Is it a gold? Probably, Abraham would have told, yeah, it's gold. I can pay the taxes for you guys. And they might have asked him, no, it may not be a gold. Probably you may be, smuggling diamonds or something. Then Abraham would have said, oh, no problem. Even if it is diamond, I'll pay for pay the taxes. So this might have caused some kind of, doubts on Abraham. Probably they opened the box. They might have saw. That's what the Bible said. They saw. Abraham went to Egypt and they saw the beauty of Sarah. Sarah was an absolutely beautiful woman. And the one thing is there, Abraham is telling to Sarah at the age of 63, she was a beautiful woman. How many husbands tell to their wives at the age of 63 that she's a beautiful wife? Very rare, folks. It's not going to be happening. I don't know. They might tell. I mean, it is not that I didn't reach that age yet, probably. But all I'm saying is that it is unusual, unbelievable. Abraham was commenting on Sarah. Hey, you are so beautiful, so they might take you. If you didn't say that I am your brother, so you must tell I am your brother. So Sarah obliges that one. So when she entered the Egypt, the whole Egypt got brightened up. It got lit up because such a beautiful, beautiful, bright Sarah they were seeing. They never seen a woman like that, because they said, the sages say, the beauty of Sarah was just like Kawa, that's Eve. Eve in the Garden of Eden, she was made by the hands of God. So, I already told that, she was covered by the glory of God and the righteousness of God. That's why Eve was so bright, like a light. They could not even know if they are naked or not. So likewise, Sarah got the same beauty of Eve. That's what the sages said. And the whole Egypt was getting lit up by the Sarah's beauty, because the words went all around and people were, spreading that, about Sarah and the beautiful woman who arrived in the city. So they started giving money and they started giving things to Abraham, and Abraham was collecting. And Abraham and Sarah's plan was just to convince the people over there and stay there for some time and move on. But unfortunately, their plan collapsed and she ended up in Pharaoh's palace. Imagine, folks, Pharaohs were taking the women. Politicians are the same. Politicians and women, you can never separate. Even in those days and in nowadays, it's always same. It's always same. So Pharaoh took her to the palace. Now, in the palace, something happens there. Sarah told the Pharaoh the truth. Why did Sarah tell Pharaoh the truth? Because if you say you are a king in a country, means you are supposed to protect the public. You're supposed to protect the nation. You're supposed to protect the citizen. So Sarah thought of that one. So, he is a king, so I'm going to tell him all the truth. So she told that I am the wife of Abraham. And before that, even already, people approached in the palace and God was punishing them. Abraham was so confirmed or so strong that nothing would happen to Sarah. Because you know why? Because the promises that he knew from God. And the second thing, due to Sarah's righteousness, definitely. And also third, Abraham saw there was an angel behind her following her to the inside Egypt. So he knew very well, even though she was beautiful and she has been taken by Pharaoh, and Abraham was so confirmed, and he knew very well nothing will happen to Sarah. At the same time, here God was punishing the Pharaoh with the plagues, and Pharaoh got afraid of that one. That's why he sent Sarah back to Abraham. Whenever Jewish people goes any place, God protects them. And also, people are afraid of the Jewish people, because when Jewish people come to any nation, they think that, oh, Jewish people, bring disaster. So you guys go away because God is with you. See, when they went to Egypt, the Pharaoh sent them out because the plagues were there in Egypt because of these people. So he sent them out. And even if you see when Jonah was going to, Damascus, and he was going, the Darshis, and then the ship people came to know that this guy was disobeying God, and they threw him out, because these people are so godly connected people. The whole world was afraid of them. Can you believe any Christian community, Gentile people, when they walk in the world outside, the whole world is afraid of them? No, folks, because we are not in that stage yet, because we are still roaming around with something false is with us. That's why people are not afraid of us. But those days, these covenant people, the whole world was afraid. Okay, let me come to the story here. So Sarah told the truth to Pharaoh, saying that I am the wife of Abraham. So Pharaoh sent her to Abraham, telling Abraham, cursing Abraham, why did you do this one? I was innocent person. Why you guys make me to do a sin? So he sent along all the gifts with him, and they went inside. They took it back to the land. See, folks, the lesson what we learn is here is God gives us promises. God tells us to go forth and define yourself, and find yourself, and exercise yourself, and discover yourself, because there is something that He's expecting from us to do for Him. But we are sitting in the same place still, in the same type of methods and system. We are not coming out and seeing exactly what the Bible talks about. But God is telling to go forth. But even if you go forth, you cannot say that, oh, God is going to bless me, His grace is on me, so I'm going to stay there. You're not going to get it. You have to work it out. See, Abraham, when the famine was there in the land, he moved to Egypt because he knew God promised him that He's going to bless with the children and generation. He is going to also bless with the prosperity, all the property, all the wealth and health. So he knew that wealth was in Egypt, so he can go and collect the wealth and come. So you have to plan according to the promises of God. If you don't plan, and if you sit down there and you cannot achieve anything, but in that way, that's the main thing that we miss a lot of things, folks. We cannot hide like this. As a Gentile world, we are claiming all the Old Testament blessings. How come you can claim the blessings, and then you don't want to claim the commandments? You don't want to, observe any commandments. You say, oh, that's all grace. You want to take the grace of New Testament, but you want to take the blessings of the Old Testament, and then you don't want to follow anything else. Folks, we are making a lot of mistakes in this place here. Jesus Christ follows 613 commandments, and we must have to observe those things too. There is no wrong in that one. There is nothing wrong in that one, because it is a life path. It's a life way. Abraham, from the polytheistic God, he became a monotheistic person. He went there by listening at the age of 75, went to Egypt, collected the prosperity, just like God told him, because he knew that God is going to bless him, even though if he's going to fall in the hands of enemy. He's going to, because it is a promise he gave, but you have to work for that one, folks. You need to work for that. But don't think and don't focus only on the prosperity and the property and wealth. It's not that we are supposed to do that one. Obey God. Work for Him. Look for His word. Look for His promises. And don't claim anything which is not for you. If you don't do anything, and don't claim any blessing, folks. So I'll come back with another Torah next time. Until then, Shabbat Shalom. And this Friday, I'm going to teach in the Jewish congregation. It's going to be a wonderful time. I will try to put you on Facebook Live. Hope you will all watch. Otherwise, I'll try to copy it and upload it in the YouTube. Well, anyway, I'll come back with another Torah next time. Until then, Shabbat Shalom. Shavuot Tov. Bye.